So this is a quick live, and it is going to be quick, on how to treat psychics, how to treat healers. You're not buying a used car and kicking tires. You don't treat healers and psychics, Reiki masters, like you can negotiate. I just had somebody text me, and somehow they found my number. I have no idea. But telling me that if I could answer a question for free, they would write a good review for me, which I don't take bribery. I don't do these things. Do I do special pricing for certain people who are broke? Of course I do. And I have a long conversation to make sure that I'm not being hustled, because some people can be really creepy. But it's insulting. I feel like the French pastry maker in, what was it? Was it Arizona or Las Vegas? I forgot where Glamorana, or whatever her name was going to ask to get free food for a good review. I don't know why this is a normal trend, but I earn my reviews. Every review I've gotten, I've earned. I gave good service. The best way to approach someone like me, because it could work with someone else, I guess, but my response was anyone who would actually be bribed for a good review is an asshole. I've never had to do that, and I'd rather have 5 good reviews than 30 reviews that were something where I gave free services to get them. But I found in the spiritual community that people who are not part of this world, people who have 9-to-5 jobs, have their own business and so forth, think that it's okay to treat us like you're kicking tires and negotiating, for a used car. We provide a service where we give a lot of our energies. If the person had come to me straight and said this with humility, because I've had people literally come to me with humility. I've worked with people who were homeless. I work with people who had just gotten out of being homeless. And I remember, and this is what I always do, and I really don't want you guys to take advantage of it because the karma is bad. Don't do that with any person who offers healing on any level. But I knew this woman, a young woman, under 30, who had a twin flame. They were in separation. And her lover, her beloved, and her had been homeless in New York City. And we talked at length, and of course, what kind of psychic can't tell that someone is telling the truth? There was pain in her voice. And I said, look, I can't do it for free because I don't want to be karmically entangled, no offense. But I can do it for like $5, $8. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what we did. And I gave her the same service that I would give any client. I gave it my all. I'm not sharing this with you to have you take advantage of anyone else out there, including myself. And I'm not saying this to tell you how great I am at all. I'm telling you that this is something we do. But you better come to people like me straight, humble, vulnerable, honest, and saying, I don't have anything but $5. But I'm really having I have questions. Would you consider doing something for me? And I know you have bills to pay, and I wish I could give you what you deserve. That's how you approach people like me. Not, give me a free reading, answer one question, I'll give you a good review. That is insulting. You know what I mean? I've said no to a lot of money over the years, and I've said no to many, many opportunities because if I'm going to live a path of integrity, I'm going to live a path of integrity even if it's uncomfortable. You understand? So I suggest that you come to people straight and vulnerable, and people are so loving. People are so good. People are amazing. I had something happen in my house that was pretty monumentous. It was a $3,000 job, right? $3,000. And I got on the phone with this young man. I was, when I got the bad news of what was happening, my son was handling it with this other young man. And I said, this is what, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it was, just in case. I want to protect his privacy, just in case. But it was an equipment that runs the house, okay? And he said, it's going to be $3,000. And I said, I honestly don't have $3,000. And I'm wondering if we don't have that kind of money at all. And I was wondering if maybe, do you work on the side? Can I hire you on the side? And how much would it be if I hired you on the side? And what would have been $3,000 turned out to be $300. And people are kind, man. If you tell them the truth, people are kind. They want to help. They know how hard it is out here. They know what's going on. They're not cruel. But to come at anyone with promises of weird ass promises, you're going to piss people off. If anything, you're going to insult them. I find that vulnerability is a power if it's coming at someone else with integrity of truth. Like, don't take advantage of people. I'm going to give you another story. I was, for some reason, there was a connection that my father had with this family, a British family. They were very, very wealthy. They owned like 15, 20 properties in San Francisco proper. And they used to crow about getting, in those days, it was food money, food dollar bills. It was in the 80s. And they would crow saying that they bought all of this food with food stamps. I kid you not. They, even though they owned property, they were able to do that. I don't know how they got away with it. Don't ask me. I have no idea. I was only like 19 when I met them. But yeah. So if you have it, tip people. I'm not kidding. Give more. Actually pay it forward. I've had clients that were very rich that would literally say, and I have had people say this to me, do this to me. I don't have that many rich clients, but just to give you an example, one client in particular gave me an extra session for whoever would need it in the future. And it was used by another person who had no money. You know what I'm saying? It was like a mini scholarship. Does that make sense? So that's my advice to people who are vulnerable, who need help in the spiritual aspect. And you have to have courage. Every time I was in a position of vulnerability, a position where I was shit out of luck, people helped me. And I've helped people also. But come to them with bribery or certain things, and anyone who would say that is going to be a complete asshole. I don't have any other words for it. I have no other words for it. So I said as much to this young woman, and I said no response, and she did not respond. So that shows me I don't want to invest in someone who doesn't have the integrity to say, I fucked up, I'm really sorry, I'm desperate, I really need your help. If there's any way, what can we arrange? No response. And I don't work with people who don't have courage. I don't like people like that. I love people who have courage. Even if you're shaking, courage to say, hey, it's almost like because you have the word psychic next to your phone number, they think that they can just. And I think it's abominable. It's horrible. I think it smacks of every negative adjective I can think of. And it makes me sad because it shows me how some people view us who can see behind the veils. When I do a hypnosis, just to give you an idea, and it's not just me, all of us in the spiritual community who are healers, you guys will all relate to what I'm saying. We don't stack you up, 3, 4, 5 clients in a day. Because the energy that we expand is so tremendous that it's like being, it's very draining, because we're giving our all when we do sessions. Be it tarot reading, psychic downloads, be it hypnosis. Like when I do a hypnosis, I might do one more session. Most likely I won't do anything. I'll just do the one hypnosis session and nothing else. Because my all has to go to this client. I can't be energetically still pulled to a reading I did before. Though every blue moon I'll have an emergency session and I'll say yes because a person's freaking out, going through a massive dark night of the soul, and I got to talk them off the ledge. Aside from that, which thank God are not as often as you might think, thank God. And sometimes when people are that bad, it's not a paid session, it's a free session, whether they have the money or not, because I realize we're talking about somebody who's fucking on the edge, not someone who's depressed and kicking rocks. I'm not going to waste my time on that. And it's not a waste in the way you think, but I'm not going to listen to long sighs. I've had clients where they were fighting and yelling at each other and accusing each other of shit, and I had to be the referee for free, because that's how some of us work. I needed them to calm down and see these moments of triggering as a place of choice, a crossroad of either the relationship ends today or it actually goes through a massive metamorphosis today. It's up to you. And how to forgive each other. How to forgive each other from lying by omission. The sessions that people like me get from people all over the world are fraught with pain, triggerings of family dynamics, fear of abandonment, fear of betrayal. And there's a time and a place when we have to give, well, at least that's how I roll, where you have to give sacred space and not worry about the rest. When I work with clients, do you see what I'm saying? I don't mind it. And I also know when to call out a client when I feel like they're abusing it. Because, and I've been lucky in that my clients are very sweet and they understand that there's a time and a place when they need it, I'll be there. But we're not going to be complaining about bullshit. Does that make sense? We're talking about when people don't want to be on this planet anymore. That's what I'm talking about. So bribery, can you imagine somebody coming to me, bribing me a review? I feel gutted. And I was asking this young person, I'm assuming she's young, whatever. I'm going to assume she was young, because people in their 40s and 50s should fucking know better than to ever pull that shit with a healer, in my opinion. Okay? And so don't ever fucking do that to people, man. Don't do that to anyone. Don't do it to your mechanic. Okay? You can go to your mechanic if your car's fucked and say, look, I know the conveyor belt is $2,000. Can I pay you $1,000 and give you 2 post-dated checks? And can I pay you once a month for each check? Or can I come, and is there anything else I could do for trade? I am so broke, I'm afraid of losing my job. Tell them your story. People will rise to stories. They might actually say, dude, just give me the 1,000. I'll just do the labor for free. I won't charge you for the labor. Be real with people. Don't fucking hustle them. Don't lie. Don't promise shit you can't, cover. But I've noticed that when you are in your truth and in your vulnerability and your humility, people will absolutely... I've rarely not gotten somebody to help me in some way. From a real place of truth. Not trying to manipulate anyone, because I'm more terrified of the karmic entanglement, the karmic whiplash, and that's the only time you'll hear me say terrified. My karmic path is more important to me than anything else, than money, than wealth, than fame, than the kind of material success people will do anything to gain. And there are tons, there are millions of people who feel the same. They want to live a life that they can be proud of, that they can actually, never hide from. And so either fucking do right by all people that you access. If you're in a bad place financially or otherwise, emotionally, or just fucking take the time to write a fucking good proper email, text, whatever. Or practice the pitch to your mechanic, to your landlord. Do you know what I'm saying? Practice and then speak from the heart. In other words, practice what you're going to say, because when you are in high anxiety, you're going to stumble over and you're not going to remember what to say. But try to speak your story and make sure that it is eloquent. Advocate for yourself, and then deliver what you need to deliver to the person you're asking help from. That's my advice. I would have thought in the spiritual community that people would understand that, especially if you believe in what we do. But I'm realizing more and more that, and it's not me complaining. I'm not bitching at you. I don't give a shit. This is advice. Just advice. This is advice if you go to your chiropractor. This is advice if you go to your colonic experts. This is your advice for whatever the hell you're going to do. Your therapist. Okay? Like, tell the fucking truth and stop trying to hustle someone. And I don't know what this is all about, but bribery. Anyone that would say yes to the bribery, I'm going to repeat it, is an asshole. Okay? I wouldn't trust them with anything. If somebody actually, I went to someone and said, if you give me a reading, if you give me the Reiki session, because I mean, obviously I can give my own, but a Reiki session, I mean, I can do it myself, but they'll I want a Reiki session, I want a massage, a Reiki / Swedish massage, I want healing, I want massage, I want touch healing. I'll give you a good review, and if you could do like a half hour for free, and I'll pay the other half. Oh my God. There's not, the people I hang with, all of them would say, fuck the fuck off. But if you went to them and said, I really need this, I've been massively depressed, I just got over the dark night of the soul, I think I'm coming out of it, I feel like I have somatic clinging, my cellular system is collapsing, all I have is $75 for an hour. They'll take the money and they'll give you the healing. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm going to teach you that, because I can't believe people think this is normal. And there's no harm in being vulnerable. Do you understand? The entire planet is going, the 99%, and I'm sorry to bring it up to you, is going in that way. But everyone is looking at each other going, are you okay? It kind of reminds me of the 1989 earthquake in San Francisco, where we had to walk home and shit, Neiman Marcus, all the windows had exploded on Union Square. Anyway, a lot of us had to walk home, which was hours and hours, and people were being robbed, and it was a shit show. Okay, some of the houses had literally moved off, I swear to God, moved off its foundation right into the sidewalk. The following day, when all of us had slept and all of us were trying to figure out where can we get a cup of coffee, right? And all these strangers were walking around kind of like somewhat dazed, fucking relieved, and grateful. All of us were looking at each other, are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay, ma'am. Wow, what the fuck was that? So we're there again, sadly, but there is familia, there is tribal support and love in the timeline that we live in. So don't be a shyster. Don't try to shyst someone, and don't approach anyone as a shyster. Just be honest, loving, humble. Okay, I've said enough on that. We have to honor ourselves with the gifts. I rarely use the term gifts. We have to honor each other and ourselves with the innate psychic, telepathic, remote healing, touch healing, gifts, skill sets that we all were given. And the more you get confident in your own dreams and your oracle dreams, your lucid dreams, your third eye awakening activation, your chakras, feeling the energies of others, feeling space, feeling some of you when you were 6 years old, 4 years old could make the rain come. You could make it rain. You could control the wind. There are people, young people showing videos of literally talking to a tree in the branches. They'll literally say, lower the branch. Now, of course, you always have those people who are somewhat corrupted in their cynical views about the world, saying it's AI or saying somebody's pulling the string on the branch. But those of us who have seen, firsthand or have experienced the subtle little magical things that we did as children, teenagers, just playing around with nature, we know that thought become matter and that we are absolutely able to play with the force that surrounds us. It's funny because it just gave me this vision of these sparkly, gorgeous, golden lights that surround us, but we can't see it through our 3D eyes, but it constantly surrounds us. And I keep going back. So I'm one of the generation of people who was raised by Luke, feel the force, Luke. May the force be with you, right? And so that energy, this understanding of frequency, energy, intention, that we should feel as a stable, normal part of, and it is our birthright as a people, shows itself in these supposedly benign moments where you look up at the sky and you make it rain. You make the wind stop. And then you say, okay, wind, come back, move again. And it does. And make the tree lower its branch almost to say hello. And there's more. You might be using whistles and sounds to, as my son does, to bring the hawks and the owls and the eagles closer, like woo, 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 whatever. And they start circling around him, attracted by the certain frequency. My thing that I used to do, because I loved body surfing when I was a kid in Malibu, is I used to taunt the waves. I used to call on Neptune and go, come on, Neptune, show me more. Like, this is a bullshit wave. Give me a fucking wave I can swim on. And I would taunt the waves, and the waves would come. And you could say I'm cuckoo, but I would say, but you didn't live that life. You didn't see how the waves would suddenly surge up and carry me all the way to the shore. And every time I come back saying, thank you. Yeah, that's what I want. I want more of those. Give me more of those. And they'd come. So, and I'm sure surfers could speak of stories of their own dialogue with the sea. So my point to you is that this idea that some of us can obviously do X, Y, and Z, and you seemingly think you can't, is a deficit to the expansiveness of your abilities. And I was telling a client of mine, a fantastic, sweet, loving, there's a naivete about her that's so fucking sweet. She's in her 40s. And I was saying to her, I can't wait till the new earth is here, because at that point we will have psychic schools all over. I was saying to her, I can't wait till the new earth is here, because at that point we will have psychic schools all over, on levitation, on sound frequency, on also nightmares, to control the nightmares so the nightmares don't come, so that the men in black don't come in the dreams, these weird shadowy figures that do seem to attack children. This is a known thing now. I thought it was a personal problem with me, but no, apparently I've met people where in their early childhood they had these weird shadowy figure chase them, and they would go into the flying dreams to escape. And it's because there's certain nefarious forces that want to control us as we take on these avatar bodies, these temporary vessels, and they want to instill fear in us as young as 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we had schools, yeah, it could be, you could think of it as Hogwarts, but I would say not like that. Definitely not. More about, we would have apothecaries, and we would understand the Chinese, wisdom of acupuncture, acupressure, and this would become a norm. Not only could we heal Ayurvedic medicines, for example, this is something that we should teach to 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, crystals. I remember my 8-year-old, I used to ask him, I had bought him a crystal. Well, he had chosen it because the crystal, a good crystal chooses you, and you accept, you accept the introduction and the responsibility of being its crystal. You become a crystal keeper of that crystal. So anyway, he was 8, and I needed him to learn how to quiet down, how to focus his monkey mind into something. So I said, and we had named it Haku, and this crystal Haku was a quartz crystal amethyst cactus, I believe it's called. Anyway, so he would be on the bed, putting the crystal down where the sun shone through the window, and would meditate on it. And after 45 minutes, the crystal started shining bright. And he was blown away. Mommy, come look at the crystal. Oh my God, look. And I went, yeah, Haku is responding to your meditation. Go back and do it again. And so what it taught him at 8 was to get his nervous system straight. But it also taught him how to commune with the crystal. It taught him how to activate the crystal and allow it to activate him while he activated it. And it was beautiful to watch. So it's not that this is special parenting. I think this should be standard parenting, standard mentors, because you remember, sure, okay, they're kids, they're in little bodies, they're cute, they're toddlers, whatever. But don't forget that's an ancient soul in those little avatar bodies, and they chose you to be their mentor, not to be freaked out when they tell you stories about how they remember their past lives. Like I can tell you my 3-year-old brother, who we lived in London at the time, and he would wake up from a nightmare of being in a Rolls Royce in a car accident. And he hated his wife, but he loved his 2 sons. And he kept saying, I miss my 2 sons. I want to see my sons. But I hate my wife. I don't miss her, but I love my sons. So this went on for months, this nightmare, recurring nightmare. He was 3. He was 3 in 1972, or 73. So my point to you, would be, I might have the dates wrong, but I think it might have been, well, it doesn't matter. The point is, was it either late 60s or early 70s? I'm not going to do math today. And long story short, that's the reason why the timeline in that era is important. Is you probably already know what I'm about to say, right? There's no social media. He has absolutely no influence about reincarnation. No one has told him anything about reincarnation. He's a 3-year-old little boy. No one's talking about that in that household. So you could say that when I was his older sister, activated me in realizing and remembering how I chose my parents, but also it radicalized my little brain as a little girl to realize there was more and that I should really pay attention to this. So right now, as we move out of 2025 into 2026, I'm seeing people who are still acting like it's the 1920s with these kinds of conversations with their children. These children are coming in as star seeds that have not had many incarnations on this planet, if any, in the last 1,000 years. Do you understand? Maybe they've been incarnating on other realms, other dimensions, other planets, and after 1,000 years, 2,000 years, they finally return to this planet and they are highly connected. Their avatar, you could call it the hardware they're in, is of a higher model. I like to compare it to the iPhone 4, which most of us can relate to as an iPhone 4, to the iPhone, I guess 15, 16. And of course the software in iPhone 4 is not going to really work, is it? The current software would not work in an iPhone 4 the way it will easily slip into and upgrade the iPhone 15, 16. Related like that. Similar to the bodies that we are using right now. So if you're over 45, you should be able to relate to that, unless you tweak and you open the iPhone 4 and upgrade the internal components, the hardware. At which point, and how do we do that? Well, we do that through the work of the chakras. We do that through meditations, and we do that from calling on our light beings to upgrade us with ascension light codes, aka ascension symptoms. And for us who are older, these ascension symptoms are quite difficult. Headaches, digestive disorders, sleep issues, which is going to be problematic, or at least very challenging. However, the sad part about these kids, to be honest with you, is that they're stuck with parents who are clueless. I mean, I'm not here to be politically correct. I don't care. Oh, I should say it nicer. No, they're clueless. And it's weird for them to be clueless because you see, it's the 21st century, the age of Aquarius, and the information is actually there. And you can access the information within literally, I'm not lying, within 3 to 5 minutes. So the problem we're having as a people is that we have people who are younger than me, younger than you, or a little older than you, who are woefully ignorant in the realms of psychic and metaphysical and even occultish realities. They don't know the difference between occult, voodoo, and tarot reading and psychic healing and whatever, you know. They actually fear it all, or they don't want to know, or it's really creepy and it's weird and it's so fucking weird. And it's incredible ignorance. And so I'm not sure, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not sure why these kids are choosing parents like that. It's like, maybe there's just not a lot of enough bodies. Maybe most likely they probably want a certain avatar with certain genetic, they probably need some certain genetic shit. I don't know. I can tell you that when I chose my parents, I know why I chose them. But one of the things I wanted was the genetic material, the DNA, the innate psychicry that was in my father and his grandmother. They were both highly psychic. Not at all in my mother's side. That was not present at all. Okay? And so, but also I wanted the culture that she represented, all the things that she taught me that my father couldn't give me. So these kids, I mean, I don't have a whole story of some of the kids that I've watched on TikTok who are recorded by their parents talking about some pretty magical things. And, but they're not, how do I put this? Parents should not expose their children in the beginnings of the awakenings or these beginnings of remembrance because of the psychic attacks that happen when these children are in brand new avatars, grounding themselves, especially the first 7 years of their life. In the Vedic system, it talks about the fact that the child is linked to the mother's auric field for the first 7 years. That shouldn't piss you off about women not being able to stay home for the first 7 years because the kid needs their mother. And so everything the mother feels, anxiety, pain, grief, whatever, joy, the child is actually still in a spiritual umbilical cord. That's why you'll see anxious mothers with clearly anxious kids, and some smart therapists or fucking healers like me will look at the mother and go, yeah, the kid's fucked up because you're fucked up. So calm your jets. Fucking learn how to meditate. Teach your kid how to meditate. Teach your kid how to heal itself through breathing, through micro meditations, because I mean they're 3, 4, through walks barefoot, realizing that to walk barefoot on the soil, the sand, the moss, the rocks will ground them damn near instantly. And these pedestrian parents is what I'm going to call them, and I'm not accusing them or trying to be mean to them. I'm saying you need to fucking, I don't know, talk to people like me, listen to videos from people like me who understand what these kids need until we can open those kinds of schools, which I don't see. I don't know. I think that as we move into the new earth, there's going to be resets, and there's going to be a lot of various types of challenges that we'll overcome, obviously. And to create these schools will take a little minute. It's not just going to happen overnight. But I think that we could actually, even now actually, do pilot projects of schools like that. And I think it would be so fucking cool, because some of these kids would thrive, academically thrive also, especially if we do the Finland method of educating our kids in the rudimentaries, the 3 R's. But we have this ability to be so much. I mean, we've all heard about the junk DNA. We all know that our brain only uses 15%. Am I being kind here? I don't even think it's 15%. But anyway, but there's so much we can actually do. And part of the 5D movement is to activate these synapses, these dead synapses or absent, and to rewire the way we see and really see, not with just our mortal 3D eyes, but our third eye, and normalize that throughout our communities, and actively train our kids. Homeschooling, in my opinion, isn't just about teaching your kids bullshit. It's most likely there to show them the joys of being curious. You know what I mean? The love of reading. Not just board books, but like beautiful literature. I remember reading to my son A Wrinkle in Time, one of the most amazing books I think ever written for children. And why? Well, because it shows the homogeny of certain societies, when they're traveling. I forgot the names of the kids, but anyway, they're traveling through time. It's a hell of a book. Better than the Hunger Games, I'll tell you that shit. And so we've replaced books like A Wrinkle in Time, The Witch, the Lion, and the Wardrobe, about portals through closets, right? About magical creatures and evil, with the Hunger Games. Survive, starve, kill. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? So, just thought do you know if there is a way to cloak your energy towards the divine masculine? Of course there is. You just, the thing about, let me just say this. Can we use the right words for the right things? A divine masculine you would never need to cloak yourself from, because a divine masculine would never harm you, fuck with your head, or fuck with your reality. So he's not a divine masculine. He's a masculine. He's a broken, toxic masculine, or else you would not want to cloak yourself. You wouldn't have to. So I find it very weird that in the New Age community we use terms indiscriminately with no real understanding. Divine masculine meaning the man's got his shit together and you don't have to worry about him because he comes to you right. That's a divine masculine. So your broken toxic masculine, the way you cloak yourself, is to simply say, you simply announce in your room, don't come near me. We're done with this contract. I do not want your presence until you come to me right, with integrity, with honor, with loyalty, with truth, with the power that you have in you. As long as you're toxic, I do not consent to your presence. It's not difficult, but you should probably do the 4 corners above and below, which I have in my YouTube channel under the playlist. What is it called? Hang on. Yeah, it's under guided meditations, believe it or not, that's where it is. And then you do a ceremony where you sage yourself. I'm not going to go into it right now because I already have it pre-recorded, so you can check it out. And then literally just blast him kind of away, giving you boundaries, giving him boundaries so that you don't have to deal with his toxic loops. Does that make sense? So that's how you do it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? That was a very good question. I'm sorry you're going through that. I really, really am so sorry for you. And I mean, I'm not sorry for you. It's not pity. I mean, I'm sorry that this man is not awake. I'm sorry. Because if he's not awake, he's in a lot of pain as well. It's probably not obvious to you, but trust me. I just actually shared a graph in my YouTube channel, just so you know. And in the graph, you know how it says how many people come, and I don't know if you guys know this, but in graphs, anyway, let me explain what it looks like. So it shows you how many people come to your page. It shows the age group. So my age group that people follow me at are between 25 years old and 70. I kid you not. It's at 65 plus, okay? And guess what? It's going to blow your mind. 52% are men. The rest is women. 49% for this week. So what does that tell me? Well, it tells me, one, men are waking up to their pain. And they want to know how to get the fuck out of the looping hamster wheel of the pain. In the old days, I'd say as far back as 6 months ago, the numbers were the following. It would toggle between 74% women and 80% women and, 20% men. Swear to God. It's literally is splitting in the middle now. And the masculine and feminine is moving towards knowledge. The men that are out there that you feel are harming you, hurting you with their ignorance, their gaslighting, their triangulation, whatever the fuck they're doing, right? To you, right? By not being straight. I'm happy to announce that they are asking for answers from not just male coaches on how to get laid, videos, but now they're asking, how do I love? How do I heal? What's a good guided meditation? And I'm not saying men weren't doing that before, because I've met highly beautiful divine masculines 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So don't get me wrong. But there's a reason why I used to call them unicorns, okay? Because it was like having a sighting. Oh my God, look, the white elephant. I haven't seen one. It was a sighting, okay? It was not the norm. But I think that what's happening, okay, in our society is that the gender wars are here to distract, and that's fine. Whatever, let them enjoy the fucking battles. But many, many men and many women are realizing that, realizing that we have been men and women. See, this is why when women are in separation with their, I hate to use the word twin anymore, the TF, I call it eternal consorts, just to be clear, the eternal consort, okay? Eternal consort. That their energy and their energy is a template that's been around for 2,000-3,000 years. The template of the conqueror, the warrior, and there's violence in that, okay? Because it's about supremacy. It's about, I must survive. I must care for my woman. The woman was never thought of as an equal. And I know you're going to laugh at me. You might actually never follow me again, but I remember when I was a young teenage girl, I saw the movie Conan the Barbarian. Do you know why I love that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Because in that movie, the woman he falls in love with is an Amazon. and she's his equal. And they are warriors who happen to be lovers in a time when they needed to be warriors, not shamans. Does that make sense? Okay. So for me, the way he loves her is, those are the kind of movies I like to see, where women were considered equals and they were powerful, they were badasses, and the men, strong, powerful alpha males, adored their strong, powerful alpha females. And so what we're moving into is more and more into this incredible, beautiful equality of respect. And everyone has their part. Some are more Shakti Shiva energy, and some are more like Krishna Radha energy, Sita Rama energy. You know what I mean? Krishna Radha, excuse me. And the Krishna Radha is an interesting, because it's more of a mellifluous, loving pastimes, just fun. Just let's have fun, baby. Let's just have fun. Let's just do the right thing. Let's protect the people we can, but let's just have fun. That's kind of like the energy you get from the Krishna Radha template. From the Mary Magdalene Yeshua template, we get that energy of absolute pure equality and love, but we also get to see the fuckery and the fractured reality of the 3D world that surrounds them and is attacking them. And so their nectar and their safe spaces with each other, in each other's arms, alone from the rabble, alone from the apostles. Whether the apostles, some apostles actually revered Mary Magdalene, but to be honest with you, half of them did not. They hated her. Let's be honest. Let's not, you know. So that template is also interesting, because we see two equal people, and she's very much, you get a sense of very much in her Shakti, Isis, priestess energy of softness and kindness and gentleness, and she's strong as fuck. Don't get me wrong, but she's very wise and calm and secure. She's not Kali, she's not Kali energy, a warrior, a woman that'll lop your head off in a heartbeat, kind of like in the movie Conan the Barbarian, where she doesn't take any shit, okay? And has no patience, right? So when we look at these incredible templates, right, that we've been given, whether it's mythology, right, where it's made up stories, whatever, or like actual templates, and like Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, you go, wow, they fuck. I mean, and still they had the nectar, but it was hard. It was hard because of the environment they lived in. So Yeshua is destroyed, as you well know. Whether or not he survived on the cross, I have my own opinions on that. Some people believe he did, but let's move on. Let's move on. When a man is a divine masculine of that ilk, where a man is been able to survive himself on the normalcy of addictions, right? Women also have addictions, don't get me wrong, but we're talking about the masculine who's unable to come into union with the divine feminine. And so he's addicted to shit. And when he's addicted to shit, unfortunately, he's going to do shit. And I was telling a friend of mine today, I was saying, under the influence, people will fuck people they would never fuck fully sober. No fucking way, no how. And that's the problem with addiction, is that a man will, do things in an impulsive way that most women, not all women, because we have women that are definitely that self-destructive as well. And we know this. Or in their masculine energy, meaning they are the cynical, they are destructive, they are, unable to recognize love when it's staring at them in the face. I would say they're very much shut down, very much in their masculine energy, and decide to belittle and somehow destroy the sacred divine masculine who's trying to hold sacred space for her. I've seen men damn near destroyed by women like that. So I'm never going to say that it's an all man thing. But what I will say on the masculine is that the addiction, the various levels of addiction, and I've talked about it at length, and so you may want to look at some of my playlists on YouTube on that, is the fact that we've all unfortunately been raised with parents who, mostly the masculine in this case, dealing with addiction or disappointing the feminine who also fell into addiction. So it's quite often you'll hear my parents were alcoholics, my mother was on hard drugs, or she suffered from mental illness or whatever, and she wasn't mentally ill when she married him. She got mentally ill. Does that make sense? In other words, the environment and being in a toxic relationship and trying to keep the marriage together made her sick, literally, because there was no problem before that. So the problem with addiction that has been normalized in our society through porn, I'm just going to say it straight up, which controls the root chakra, which I've said multiple times. I talk about the fracture of the divine template of the sacred couple, which many of us can actually come to one day. Some of you out there are in perfect unions, really good unions. I know some of you, and you know who you are, and life is good. And the thing that might bring challenges to those couples is the infrastructure of the planet, the way it's run by a certain level. I had a wonderful conversation with the divine masculine, and I'm just going to kind of let you know, I'm going to be doing a couple live, probably 3 or 4 lives, where we're going to be talking about what's next, because many of you already know about the 1%, 99%, all of that shit. You already know, what's going on. And so rather than keep talking about it, kind of like toggling between the negative and the positive and the negative and the positive, I'm going to try to create a couple lives in the next week where, and I'll let you know, I'll probably pre-advertise it, where I'm going to be talking about what is next. You know what you know what's going on, the shit show, but now you want to hear about the positiveness of what you need to do. And I can't sugarcoat it completely without telling you that part of the reason we are still here in 5D, and in 3D, that was an interesting slip, 3D, okay, is that the running theme I'm finding, which I'm going to have to weave into these what's next videos, is your fear of leaving people behind, your fear of the unknown, your fear of worthiness. And so what's next, I'm actually going to probably prepare myself for it, meaning I'll actually take some notes. I usually don't. I never actually. But I'm probably going to have to linearly speak about what is next. And I'm going to give you advice on books to read that are going to put you in that consciousness, you see. And there will be guided meditations that I'll create, of course, but I'm going to turn you on to certain guided meditations, I believe. I'll see what I can find that I think puts you in that realm. But I feel as if, because the thing is, I don't prepare, and I'm starting to realize there's a deficit, a massive deficit, because I need to create, for example, some guided meditations of 5D for you. And I felt, and I did it a couple times, just on a live, just off the, just on the fly, I believe. And I felt like it was really helpful, because the main strategy of manifesting what you want isn't how do I get there? How do I get from A to Z? That's the problem that we all fall into in manifesting, right? It's impossible. How can I possibly get there? Right? And any good manifesting coach will tell you that you never worry about how you get there. You only manifest being there. That's the key. And the being there is not a future tense. Oh, when I'll be there, I'll be so happy. You don't say that. You say, I'm so grateful I'm there. I love being there. Being there in 5D, God, I'm in 5D. I'm so excited. 5D is so cool. Like, I have such an incredible community. We have no problems. We have an amazing apothecary. I'm learning some herbalism. I'm growing plants. We're analyzing how hibiscus, and I'm making it up, and blah 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 can work with lowering, migraines. Breath work is helping and dissolving X, Y, and Z. I'm so excited. Twice a week, I get a somatic healing massage where whatever pain body, whatever issues I have in my fascia is being released. And then I get to make her loaves of bread as an exchange. I'm so excited. I'm the bread maker here. Like, everyone makes bread here, but man, my bread is well known and people love my bread, and I'll trade my bread for, this, that, and the other. In other words, it's important for you to feel what it would be like. I mean, I made this shit up. You might not even resonate with you. What would resonate with you? Would it be making a chair? Would it be collecting maple syrup from maple trees? Would it be painting murals, painting canvases to help it? Would it be creating bale houses and figuring out skylights and figuring out systems where we could do growing indoor herbs all season long, rain, snow, or shine? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's really being in your child energy and having a complete, gorgeous fantasy that you create for yourself, and just loving this life, loving where you are in that life. And that ability should come to you naturally. And if it's hard for you to conceive 5D, now you know why you can't get there. If you can't come up with a fantasy life that makes you so happy, like literally telling yourself or writing it down, better yet, recording it and then listening to it in your own voice, in the present tense. If you're having a hard time contriving it, creating it, now you know why you can't even get to it. Does that make sense? I would think that makes a lot of sense. All right? I'm sorry that was very, very hurtful. I sometimes feel he is a parasite of everything I'm working towards, imitating the peace back. Can you say more, if you don't mind? So, and then I found a good piece and he picked up on that. Then maybe he's not a twin. I mean, I'm assuming that's what you think he is. Maybe he's a karmic, what is the, hang on, let me come up with it, because it's not a false twin. I don't like that term. It's bullshit. Maybe he's a soulmate where you have a karmic loosh attached to it. In other words, so he would be a soulmate and he would come to you to sabotage you again and again. Or he could be like, I don't know if you've ever read Jaguar Woman by Lynn Andrews, but I would highly recommend you read it. I'm not sure if it's your style, but it's a woman who actually lives in LA and gets the calling. I think she's a collector of Native American baskets, and she's there to look for the wedding basket. And she has a dark shaman who remotely attacks her because she's coming into her power. And she's trained by two indigenous women in Canada. She goes to Canada from LA and meets with them, and she apprentices with them. And she has this thing with this I would call it a dark warlock who remotely fucks with her. So you get a sense that maybe there's a soul bond there. I mean, it doesn't have to be a soulmate, but a soul repeat, loosh. And if I were you, I would probably find out what this says. People are quick to call everyone a fucking twin flame like it's a Pez candy dispenser, like it's a bubblegum machine. But I would say you may want to look into that, okay? And make sure what it is. Because also, depending, and I can't say any of this, but depending on how you were raised. And what I've noticed with women who are overgivers, like overgiving is not the problem at all. Like I'm an overgiver. I love, but you have to overgive to an overgiver. I always tell women and men, like, don't stop overgiving. Just overgive to an overgiver. You'll be blissed out. You'll be like literally levitating in bliss. But don't give it to an overgiver. Don't be an overgiver to someone who's a taker. And that's all they do is take. At which point you're going to be completely drained. And it's a hell no. Okay? So I would say find out what he is. Right now, I'm doing a series of hypnosis with this wonderful woman, and in every hypnosis sessions that we have, she'll say, "I want," like the last one we did yesterday was, "I want to find out what soul connection do I have with my kids, and so she did. We found out what these bonds were, and before that, what do I need to learn? Why am I here? And the next one will be about some other people that are involved in her life. And so my point to you is that when I had questions, it's funny because I never did it with the father of my son, nor did I ever do it with my beloved, my eternal consort, because I already knew what they were for. But there was one man whom I met who there was this strange, loosh, looping patterns of behavior. And I could feel it. The sexual desire was there. And I've talked about him at length in 2023 to some point to kind of give an understanding between a real eternal consort, aka what people call twin flame, and a fake soulmate loop. And so I went to a hypnotherapist. This was years ago. This was like, 17 years ago. And I went to my hypnotherapist I'd been working with for over 20 years, and I went to her and I said, I have this problem. I need to know what the fuck this is. I mean, I don't know what this is, this connection. So, and I went under, and I had 4 past lives. I mention it all the time, and that's what ended. I was like, yeah, we're good here. We're done. But I needed to know why. So hypnosis is why I became a hypnosis expert, if you will, trained by Dr. Paula Ron, who trained with Michael Newton of the Newton Institute, which I preferred over Dolores Cannon. I might get her quantum healing. It's a good term. It's very well, what's the word I'm going to say? It's a good marketing. And the only reason why I'm going to take a class is only to see, is it really quantum healing or is it just fucking marketing? Because I can tell you that I have gotten my hypnotherapy sessions from this woman, and she was so fucking good that I got what I needed. I got the answers and so forth. So I'm not convinced sometimes some of this thing with her, because I did listen, and I'm not talking shit about Dolores Cannon. I think she's done a lot of great work. But when I read her work compared to Michael Newton with his LBL, Lives Between Lives, and his LBL is Lives Between Lives, but also the way he wrote out the format of his book, it felt much more believable to me than when I did her series, Dolores Cannon's series on Nostradamus. It felt like, I don't know. I'm not going to say more than that. But what I will say, okay, is that some hypnosis experts don't have these bells and whistle training, okay? But they're fucking good, and you'll know how you feel with them, with how comfortable you feel with them, and how ready you are to train with them, right? But also, similarly, people, and I've had this happen in Reiki, for example, where I met people that were Reiki teacher, Reiki masters, and also training, teachers, and I felt absolutely fucking, it was a dead zone, nothing. And yet I went to people who were completely untrained, and I'd be buzzing out. I was buzzed out, just fucking blissed out. So, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying to you is, don't look at where they trained, look at the individual and feel the energy. Are they my person? Are they my person? Forget who trained them and how they were trained. That's my advice to anyone. And because this feels very hurtful to you, like you said, but it feels a looping from multiple incarnations, and you need to know what this is. So at this point, I would say hypnosis. I would actually draw you to my free. It's free. It's on my YouTube channel under guided meditations. You'll see a boy with light eyes. My art. AI art, and it'll be a soul retrieval guided meditation. Soul retrieval. That's what you're looking for, and you would just go. Make sure you understand the four corners above and below. That's my advice to you. Okay, do it right. Go big or go home. Do it correctly or don't do it at all. So you learn how to sage your room. You learn how to do sacred space. Then you do that meditation. And the question you're asking in the soul-guided soul retrieval meditation is, who was he in a past life? Show me. You ask your soul to show you who he was in past lives. What is this shit? And hopefully you'll get some answers. But if you don't, right? If you get scared, most likely you're not ready for a hypnosis session anyway, to be honest. You're not going to have anything happen. So typically when people have never gone through any hypnosis, I'll guide them to my guided meditations, and I'll make sure that they do them for a couple times. I'll give them like Ho'oponopono. I'll give them inner child healing, so they're used to my voice. They trust me. They trust the process. They're not afraid. And then, as far as I'm concerned, we've done think of it as training. It's a pre-training before they go under with me. For example, that's what I ask people to do before we book, typically. Okay, so in your case, it might be all you need, right, to get the answers. Where hypnotic, where people who are being guided by a hypnotherapist or hypnosis expert or whatever, where we are different and where we come in is that we'll ask you so many questions that you'll stay where you need to stay until all the intel of these visions are completely captured and recorded, right? That's the difference. So if you want to, right, try to do the guided meditation, and I would go so far as to have an iPad or an extra phone, record, if nothing else, your voice, and record the whole thing through a video, whether it's on the floor, it doesn't need to face you, nothing else. That's my advice to you. And then try to talk yourself through it. In other words, out loud express what you're seeing. But see, that's why most people need a person to guide them through all the various evolutions of the visions of remembrance of a past life. Does that make sense? Because what happens is the mind will bring you there, right? You literally go there. You can say the mind brings you there, the soul brings you there, and then suddenly they'll go, all I see is black. Okay, so like what I do with clients is I have people do the fire breathing technique, which I call the train, and that seems to reset them, and then they'll go and they'll be able to see more clearly. And the questions are, we always want to know what you look like in that timeline. It's important, okay? It's important for you to walk out of a session like this to know exactly what you look like, a ballpark year when this happened, even names, your name in that ancient lifetime, and things of that nature, and what exactly happened. Then after that, and typically people have 2-3 lives or more, okay? Like I've had 4 or 5 lives in my own sessions. And then what happens is you can go through the process of speaking about these lives and about what it means to you. And then it's recorded, of course, and then you get to listen to it again and again and again. Like one of my LBLs, when I first did LBL for myself, I listened to it for like almost a year, again and again and again, because I was like, it was bringing me comfort. It was bringing me clarity. It was healing me to hear all the questions I had, then now I had answers to. So, yeah, so that's my advice to you. Anyway, any other questions? Any questions at all? All right, so I'm just going to pull a card. Page of Cups. I'm pulling a card. Page of Cups, messages of love. Ten of Swords, betrayal. Ace of Cups, a new love. The Two of Pentacles, juggling material concerns. What does that mean, please? The Ten of Cups. Whatever you're going through, follow your heart. It's funny, too, because I put follow your bliss. I would say follow your heart. Move past the betrayals. Don't betray yourself. Don't get waylaid by material concerns. You know, think and feel through your heart, and then you get the Ten of Cups. Ten of Cups is emotional, and it's absolute fulfillment. It's